Welcome to Rack of the Week 230. We're going to talk about straight pool today. On the screen, you see the names of my Patreon and YouTube supporters. Remember, go over to shortstoponpool.com, check out my Ghost Align tool, and remember, I'm a distributor for the Bridgemate products as well. I've got 4 different colors in stock right now. Let's get into the rack. This is a rack I played a couple of days ago. As you can see, I've got an inside angle. What's important about this break shot to recognize is the ball is, roughly a diamond away from the rack, and it's low. In other words, it's not up here where it's across from the top row or even the second row, but it's across from the third row. If the break ball was closer to the rack and the cue ball proportionately the same, the cue ball is going to hit this rack quicker, and you're going to play with inside English and try and come around like this. With the object ball farther from the rack, it's traveling along the tangent line more, and there's less chance of it to deflect in this direction. You want to use that. So this one you want to use top and even a little bit of right English to make the cue ball go back up into the rack area. The other thing to pay attention about this rack, as with every rack, is these two balls, the top balls that are opposite from the side that you're breaking the rack on. You're almost always going to see this head ball head toward the side pocket. Sometimes it goes below it and above it, depending on the exact break shot. And then this second ball is going to go to the side rail below the side pocket and out to center table. When the break ball is closer to the rack and you're hitting with more force, you're often going to see this second ball come all the way across here, depending on how hard you hit it. So watch where those balls go. Take a look at the cue ball action straight to the bottom rail and up towards the rack area. And just get a fantastic result from this break shot, and then everything cleared up. Doesn't always have to happen that way, but it did this time. And this is an ideal situation because you're looking at the rack thinking, gee, how do I not get 14 points right here? Why do I say that? There's 3 break balls, 7, 10, 15. They're all high break balls, but that's okay. I have 4 break balls. The 2 is a good break ball. And it may seem a little weird, but I wouldn't fault anyone for clearing the table and playing position for the 2. And the reason is there's an excellent key ball. If there wasn't an excellent key ball, then you wouldn't even think about it. That's how you make your decision on choosing what break ball to use. So the 11 ball is a perfect key ball for the 2-ball break shot because you have this entire area to play position in. And any of these balls can be used to get down into that position zone. So it's just a super high percentage chance that you're going to land very well on the break shot. If you don't have a ball sitting in front of this pocket or along the bottom rail, then don't use that as a break ball. That's how you make your decision. So I'm going to use one of these. What I do recognize initially is that there's no key balls. There's no key ball into the side pocket. Now, we have ways around that, but if we can get a key ball up there, that's preferred. That's the reason for the choice of my first shot. I'm not going to shoot the 1, I'm going to shoot the 15, because I think I can bump the 5 ball up into a break ball position. If I hit it on the bottom side, it's going to go this way. If I can hit it on this side, then it can go this way. And I'd like to do that because I have 2 break balls on this side. So I just went and took a look at that. I call this Rack of the Week Create a Map. I'm already creating a map in my mind of how the runout's going to progress. So that's the first task at hand. That's fair. That's okay. I would have preferred for the 5 ball to move over to here, but this is all right. Now we create our map, now that we have the ingredients that are necessary. We have break balls, we have a key ball, now we need a K2 and an end pattern. I've said it 1,000,001 times. You look diagonally from the pocket through your key ball to find your K2, and there it is. Okay? Now, how do I get on this ball? That can be tricky sometimes. You don't want to leave the 11 as your K3 and have to play the speed control to come up here. That can work if you have to do it, but you want stop shots for your end pattern. So I immediately see the 10 ball. You're right there. Stop shot. Stop shot. How do you get on the 10? Right here. Bing. Now, it could be the 6. That also leads you right there. But what I saw, the map that I saw in my brain right at this point, the end of the run is these two balls into either corner pockets or the side pocket. There's many ways to manage that. And then 8, 10, 3, 5. And then I'm on one of these break shots. And I felt like leaving both break balls because either one can work as a key ball for the other. I can land the cue ball over here and use the 10 to slide up or come across to get on the 7. Or if my cue ball stops here, I can shoot the 7 and bounce out for the 10. For that matter, I could shoot the 7 and come here, shoot the 10 in the side. Is that the 10 or the 12? Whatever this ball is. Get position here to shoot the 10 in the side and go to the rack. I probably wouldn't choose that unless I absolutely had to, but the option's there. For that reason, I'm going to leave these two balls to the end. This is my key ball, and I'm leaving all these balls. So it's a process of elimination. Look what I've done. There's only 5 balls left. I only have to think about 5 balls. How do I clear the 14, 8, 2, 10, 2, 1, and 11, and then land somewhere up here or to shoot either of these balls in the corner or up here to shoot either one in the side? This is how you create a map. Now, this is for racks that are open. Look, every ball's open to a pocket. You're not going to have this. A lot of racks, you're going to have a cluster in the rack area. This is just for racks that are wide open. You can create a map right away. But even for racks that have a cluster in the rack area, if you get the cluster open after the second, third, or fourth shot, then you can create your map. Okay. So to that end, I'm going to shoot this. I just look at it. I could shoot the 1 right now. But I choose to shoot the 8 because the 8 and 14 kind of tie up this 10. I don't have a lot of pockets to shoot the 14 in. So right now I'm playing position 4 to 14. Not very well. But I wanted the 14 in the side, so I overshot my mark. Here would have been good. But you know that you're always going to have a shot on the 1 ball if you don't get good on the 14. So I shoot the 1 to get back up on my mark. Now I just need to draw back for the 2. But I look at this for a while because the cue ball is going to come back in this direction. And I don't want to, I'm thinking about, I don't want to play a cutesy position where I'm trying to land in this tiny position zone for the 2. But what I decide is I can just go ahead and draw it all the way back here to the rail and off. Then I'll have an easy shot on the 11 to get on the 2 ball here. So I hit that a little bit roughly and got a little lucky. But because I have I'm on the rail, which I don't want, but because I have an angle, I can just go forward and then I have an angle on that 2 ball. And that angle leads naturally right up here, which is where I want to be. So you see how having that map in your mind informs your decisions. That's how you choose from all these easy shots on the table. That's how you make wise choices. Okay. So at this point, I think it's pretty obvious, but I could shoot this ball, but the 6 ball doesn't go here. So where am I going to play position? So it's pretty natural to just shoot the 6, land here. You want to make sure here's the line to the 13 in the side, land on this side of it, so your cue ball can go up to the 8. This is kind of position 101. By the way, my video for playing basic position is going to be done within 2 weeks, middle of August. That's coming up. I'm starting to work on that today. So get on the 8 ball, make sure you get an angle. There's no reason to bring your cue ball up to this head rail. You want an angle to come off the rail and land perfect on the 10. I'm going to ask you a question in a minute, and we're going to go back to the beginning of the rack because I think there's a different choice here, and I'm curious what your opinion is. So don't just bend over and shoot this 10. Go and look. That's what I'm doing. You want an angle on this ball. Don't play a stop shot because you might get the wrong angle, and then your cue ball ends up against the rail shooting the 5. Look how far out I brought the cue ball to give myself this angle. You can hold the cue ball or run it with that angle, and you can make the cue ball move wherever you want it over here, exactly where you need it. So now I've decided I want to break with the 7, so I'm going to draw back, pass the shot line to the 12. That's all you need. As long as you get past it, even a slight bit, you can stun up a little bit more angle, you just go to the rail. Piece of cake and on your break shot. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Here's what your answers are. Of these 2 break balls, which one do you prefer? I prefer the 7, and it's kind of what I mentioned at the beginning of this rack. You have a break ball that's a diamond away from the rack, and you have a break ball that's close to the rack. The one that's closer to the rack is harder to control because the cue ball jumps off the break ball right into the rack. I don't know why it is, but it is. The cue ball that's farther away, you can control a little bit more. You can bring the cue ball in different directions, and so you can manipulate it. If you put topspin on it, there's more chance for the cue ball to curve from between the 7 and the rack, and then it's more likely to jump to the bottom rail. It's easier to control the cue ball and keep it out of danger with a break shot that's farther away than one that's close to the rack. That's why I chose it. Now, given that choice, the first question is, which do you prefer? Do you prefer this one? Because if you prefer, I'll back up just a little bit. If you prefer the 10 ball as a break shot, it would have made more sense to do this. I shoot the 8 and then the 1. Then I end up with this shot on the 14 ball. If you prefer this ball, you've created this map in your mind before you begin. Then if you prefer this stripe as the break ball, then when you shoot the 14, remember the 8 and the 1 are gone. If you shoot the 14, just roll forward for the 7. Because now you can go 7 to 11, and from the 11, you come right up to that same position. Now your end pattern, all those lower balls are gone. Your end pattern is 3 ball, stop shot on the 10, on the 5 rather, or maybe roll forward an inch or two, and you're on the 10 ball break shot. This is why you've got to think ahead. Maybe it's not better in this instance to leave the 2 break balls, even though there's an advantage to having 2 because you can play one off the other. Your map tells you you have a perfect key ball. If you didn't have a perfect key ball, okay, then leave both of these. But you have a perfect key ball and a perfect connector to that key ball. So you don't need both of these. That's my question. Would you leave one of these knowing that you have this perfect key ball or not? You could also, from the same position, the 8 and the 1 are gone. You have this shot on the 14. You could also play a stop shot on the 14. Now you shoot the 10 to 11 up here, end pattern's the same. Now when you get your shot on the 5, we know that we can land perfect on it because we have a perfect K2. Now I know that I'll be able to easily just roll forward from the 5 and land here on my break shot for the 7 ball. So the question is, which break ball would you choose? And then the other question is, knowing that you have a choice and a perfect key ball, would you shoot one of them off, or do you think it's better to leave both of them? That's the question. Here's what your answer is. All right, let's go forward and look at this break shot. So I've got my 7 ball and I'm inside. If the cue ball is here, you might play it to come out, 2 rails out with a little more control. With this angle, the cue ball is going to jump straight across and it's going to back up and go forward or around or below. But I'm not sure which. Okay, that one, it just backed up and then went forward. So you might think that I'm a little bit lucky to get this one shot. Obviously, that's the only shot I have. But this, when your cue ball goes forward like that and it's not coming out of the corner, this is what you're relying on, is these secondary collisions down on the bottom rail that kind of open a ball and you get a shot along the bottom rail. So yes, sometimes this is going to happen and that cue ball is going to get wedged up here, or the 15 is going to end up here and you don't have a shot. It's straight pull. It's going to happen, but you have to give yourself a best chance. And from the cue ball position on this break shot, a straight high ball is the way that you want to go. Sometimes you'll hit the top of that rack ball, then the cue ball backs up and then goes around this way. But you just got to give it some top spin and just let what happens and focus on pocketing this ball. Okay, I hope you liked that rack of the week. Let me know your answers to my questions in the comments. I'm curious what you have to say. Thanks for watching. If you can play straight pool, play it straight, and see you next week on Rack of the Week. Bye.